Now, admittedly, you were born sensitive to words. You inherited the nature from Adam and Eve. Adam became sensitive to words when he fell, when he listened to his wife. And she didn't even know what she was saying, basically. The serpent whispered to her, and then she just repeated what she heard, that's all. But Adam, he went for it. He liked those words. It gave him something new that he hadn't had before, a feeling. Can you remember when you were maybe a kid or a teenager, and suddenly there was some kind of a feeling, and it was a surprise. It was, you didn't know what it was. What's that feeling? See, it was like that. But he got a feeling from the idea of being big, of being great, of being a great person on his own without God, something like that. Well, the ones who got to you, of course, they used praise and criticism, but they used it in a special way. They used words in a special way. They used words like the serpent used words, in a way that was designed to get to you. And sure, they got to you with praise maybe, but the main way they got to you was with angry words, unfair words, accusatory words. You were accused. False accusation. In the Bible, God says we're not to bear false witness, to falsely accuse someone of something. It's a big deal because we hardly know how to deal with the false accusation. So how about the little child? The parent accuses the child, you're unwilling, you never get anything right, you don't love your mommy, you're trying to, you're selfish, you're spoiled, you never pay attention. Global false accusations. They got to the child, those vicious words, or even more vicious. The vicious things that people say to their children are just unspeakably wicked. But they did, and eventually they got to you. And then your world of paradise was ruined. Now you had to worry, why is mommy angry? Why is daddy angry? Why am I bad all the time? Why can't I make mommy happy? Why am I no good? See, they got to you. Then you went to school. Should have been a pleasant experience. Should have been fun. And it was to some extent, but then it was ruined by pressure to get to you. And then there was the peer group. Oh yes, your parents abandoned you to the peer group. How many of you can remember incidents with a peer group where you were bullied, teased, things were taken from you, you were pushed down, your hair was pulled, awful things, and things were said, awful things about you, about your looks, and oh yes. And what was the goal again? To get to you, to get you to come across, to give in. And so you did. But do you understand that once you come across, and remember, you were only a little child, you couldn't help it. You were born with a nature sensitive to words. And you depended on your mommy and daddy, and especially your daddy, to protect you from tease, from cruelty, and from trauma. But they abandoned you, sometimes as early as 3 years old or 2 years old, to a daycare center where there's a bunch of kids from rotten homes. And then you have the teasing and the cruelty and the pressure and the bullying and all of that stuff. See? So they got to you, but what I want you to see is that when someone gets to you, see, this is very important, when something gets to you, then it gets inside. And then when it's inside, you then identify with it because something of it is within you. And you can grow to love that which had been cruel to you. You can grow to like a traumatic experience where something awful happens, and then later you go back to that awful experience again. And now it doesn't feel like an awful experience anymore. Now it feels like comfort. How many of you were traumatized by something when you were a little child, something you saw, and then you kept going back to it? Later in life, you kept going back to it. When you were 60 years old, you were still going back to it. It got inside. Do you understand? And then it becomes you. Part of you is it. And then you need it. You can grow to love it.